Hey guys, welcome back. We are going to be starting our intro on multiplying and dividing of integers. Now, we have already talked about adding and subtracting. Now we're moving on to the other two operations, which is multiplying and dividing. I think you will find this to be a little bit more simpler than the adding and subtracting, but we shall see. Don't worry, I'm here to help you. So let's go over a couple of things. Let me share my screen. Let's go over our notes. Oh no. Present. All right, multiplying and dividing of integers. Let's take a look. So first of all, I need to point out that there's going to be different signs that we're going to be using for multiplying. So you're used to seeing the X. No longer will we be using X for multiplication. You are middle schoolers now. X will mean something different as we move along in our 6th grade curriculum. So X will no longer be used for multiplying. Instead, you will see parentheses like this, or you'll see a dot. All of these mean that you are multiplying. So this is 8 times 4, 7 times 5, 9 times 4, 3 times 7. All of these will indicate multiplying from now on. No longer will you use X, you will see these symbols, okay? Now, when we're multiplying and dividing, here is the rule. Here's this cool looking little triangle with a negative, negative, positive. And then you have a tic-tac-toe symbol down here with positives and negatives surrounding it. We call this a sleepy triangle. And you're probably like, what? How's that going to help me with multiplying and dividing? Well, don't worry. I will show you in just a moment. I'm just showing you the diagram so that when I come back to it in just a second, you'll understand what it's used for. All right, multiplying and dividing of integers. If they have the same sign, your answer will be positive. For example, if you multiply or divide a positive by a positive, it will stay positive. If you multiply or divide a negative by a negative, it will change to a positive. Remember that science reference that I made? Two negatives form an attraction and make a positive. Now, if they have different signs, it will stay negative. So, for example, if you multiply or divide a negative by a positive, it will stay negative. If you multiply or divide a positive by a negative, it will stay negative, okay? So you're probably like, oh my goodness, miss, that just sounds so confusing. Well, don't let me confuse you, let me show you. So let me switch over to my other camera here. Oh no, stop that. Sorry guys, I'm having technical difficulties. All right, here we go. All right, so back to that image that I showed you just a moment ago on the slide. Come on, camera. There we go. All right, so I told you that this guy was called a sleepy triangle. Look, this is how it works. If I multiply or divide a negative by a negative, so I cover these two up, what's left? A positive. So that means my answer will be positive. Let's say I multiply or divide a negative by a positive. What's left open? The negative, right? So that means my answer will be negative. So this is a cool little trick. Like if you draw on the top of your paper a little triangle and then you put plus, minus, minus, you can kind of use that to help you remember what your answer should be, okay? The tic-tac-toe symbol works in the same way. If I multiply or divide a positive by a negative, then my answer will be a negative. If I multiply or divide by a positive and a positive, then my answer will be positive. Whatever makes a tic-tac-toe, that's what your answer will be. You cover up what your symbols have. If I do a negative by a negative, then it will be a positive answer, okay? So these are just cool little tricks to help you remember the rule for multiplying and dividing, okay? So I'm gonna do 2 multiplications and 2 division problems with you, and then you're gonna do a couple on your own to kind of get you started. So first of all, I'm going to ignore the negative and a positive. I'm just going to multiply like normal. So I see parentheses, that's telling me I'm multiplying. So 4 times 7 will give me what? 4 times 7. 28, good job. So I multiplied, I took care of that. Now I'm gonna go back and look at my signs. Me personally, I like the sleepy triangle. So that's what I'm gonna draw over here to the side. I had a positive number, so I'm going to cover up the positive, and I had a negative number, so I'm going to cover up the negative. What do I have left over? A negative. So that means my answer will be negative. Okay, so I'm going to box in negative 28 as my final answer. Okay, let's look at this next one. I am still multiplying because I see a dot. Again, I'm going to ignore the signs. I'm just going to multiply. What's 6 times 8? 6 times 8. 48. Good job. Now I'm going to go back and look at the signs. I multiplied a negative by a negative. So if I come back to my triangle, I had a negative and a negative. So that means my answer should be positive. Okay? Remember, if they have the same sign when you're multiplying and dividing, it changes to a positive. Remember that attraction makes a positive. If they have different signs, then they stay a negative. All right, so that's multiplying. Let's look at the division. I'm still going to use my triangle. Positive, negative, negative. All right, so again, I'm going to ignore the negative and positives. I'm just going to do what it says. It says 42 divided by 7. What is 42 divided by 7? 6. Good job. 6 times 7 is 42. Okay, now I'm going to go back and look at my signs. I had one positive and one negative. One positive, one negative. I have a negative symbol showing. So that means my answer should be negative. All right, one more. Yes, it looks like a fraction, but remember a fraction is division, top in, bottom out, remember? So I'm just going to divide, top in, bottom out. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 5 one time. So I have 11. Now I'm going to go back and look at my symbols. I have a negative and a negative. A negative and a negative. So it says that my answer should be positive. So I'm going to go ahead and box in my 11. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was an intro to multiplying and dividing. Now you are going to go ahead and do 2 multiplying and 2 division on your own using the rule that I just showed you with the sleepy triangle or the tic-tac-toe or the little smiley face emojis. Any of those will help you figure those out. So go ahead and do your problems for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.